What do you do when you have a gear failure underwater? Let's dive in and find out. Ladies and gents, welcome back to Tampa Bay Diving. My name is Blake, and I'm a professional recreational scuba diving instructor and content creator, and I make these videos with the sole purpose of helping you improve your dives. If you haven't already, please dive down, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and ring that dive bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. So I was out diving recently when I had a piece of gear malfunction while I was underwater. Now, gear failure in diving isn't something that any of us want to happen, but it certainly is a possibility. Even if you take care of your gear, something can always go wrong. It's something that I've experienced firsthand, and I wanted to share the incident with you so that we can all learn from it. So the story goes, I entered the water from the boat. Once my student and I were ready to dive, we made our descent down to the dive site, and once we were down there, I had the student complete their skills for their certification, and we did a tour of the wreck that we were on. We returned to our original starting point and gave each other the OK signal, and we were about to begin our ascent up the line and back to the surface when I reached for my power inflator to release any air inside while ascending, and I noticed that something was wrong. My deflate button wasn't there. I began checking myself and my gear to see if it had gotten stuck on anything, and I looked around and I noticed it laying on the deck of the ship where we had our muster point at the beginning of the dive. Now, this isn't something that I could fix at depth because, as you'll see in a moment, there's an internal piece inside the power inflator that the button attaches to hold it into position. So I tucked the button into my pocket and we made a slow, safe ascent to the surface. And I was able to do so very easily because I was properly weighted and neutrally buoyant. While this whole incident caused me some stress, mainly because I wasn't sure if we would be able to continue diving and I'd have to reschedule my student for another day, it turned out to be a teachable moment for myself, my student, and for all of you viewers of the channel. So let's do a debrief. The situation was, a piece of my dive gear, my power inflator, failed me. I remained calm, I looked around to locate the missing piece, and I made a safe ascent with my dive buddy following my computer at all times. I tested my gear before ever entering the water, and everything was fully functional and ready to dive. Once back on board the dive boat, I examined and tested all of my other gear to make sure that it was functioning properly and safe. I then moved on to my power inflator. Now, just like any good diver, I know how my dive gear functions. I've had the same BCDs for rec and tech diving for a few years now, and I familiarized myself with how they operate. So there weren't any cracks or breaks on the inflator. The only problem was that the button had come off. Now, I know that there is a little nut on the inside of the inflator that the button screws into, and that must be somewhere in the hose or the BCD. And guys, here it is. I kept the pieces so that I could show you. The deflate button slides into the power inflator here, and then just on the inside should be this nut that holds the button into place. Well, I felt around the hose and I didn't feel the piece, so I knew it must have fallen down into my BCD, probably on my descent down to the dive site. So I took my butt dump off of the bladder, and sure enough, it was laying down at the bottom of it. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I did a video on how to make a save a dive kit. And after this video, please head on over and check that out. I'm so happy that I did that, but I never thought that I would have an example of why to have one so soon after making it. But I guess you just never know when or where you'll be able to apply that knowledge and use it as an example. I carry my Save a Dive kit on every dive I go on for just such a reason. I was able to get my side cutters out, cut off the zip ties holding the power inflator and the hose together. So I grabbed a hex key, and I don't know if you can see that, but it has a slot for a hex key to tighten the nut to the button. So I zip tied it back on, tested the power inflator, and everything was working just like it was designed to. We were able to do the second dive, check off some more skills, and my student passed with flying colors. Now, I didn't leave that power inflator on. The next day, I went over to my local dive shop that carries Halcyon gear, and I bought a couple of replacement power inflators. And I put one on my BCD immediately, and the other one will remain in my Save a Dive kit. And I wanted to share this story with you guys just to reiterate that you never know when something will go wrong and you'll need to adapt. It's always better to just take a breath and kind of slow the situation down in your mind to help you think clearly without panicking. And it's also a great idea to have that kit with you to help you address the problem. But hey, I'm not perfect and I'm always open to some constructive criticism. Let me know down in the comments, what do you think I did right, what I did wrong, and what would you do differently? If you haven't already, please dive down, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and share this video with all of your dive buddies so we can continue to grow and bring you more scuba content. I'll be back next week with another video, but until then, plan your dive and dive your plan.